Welcome to this Explainer. Today we're going to completely reframe one of history's most famous thinkers. We'll discover exactly how his 250-year-old ideas literally map perfectly onto our modern lives, our friendships, and even our daily social media habits. It's a completely different side to a name you probably already know.
Let's just put it out there. When you hear the name Adam Smith, you probably immediately picture the money guy. You know, the cold, calculating father of modern capitalism, the author of The Wealth of Nations. But get this, 17 years before he published that iconic text, Smith wrote a brilliant, totally different book called The Theory of Moral Sentiments. In this earlier work, he wasn't asking how we get rich. He was asking a much more profound question. Why do we deeply care about each other?
Kicking things off with Section 1, the original empathy, and how we tune our emotions.
So Smith's definition of sympathy is absolutely fascinating. He argues that it isn't just your basic pity. No, it's actually this incredible imagination-driven ability to mentally swap places with someone else. I mean, this completely explains why you physically wince when you're watching one of those skateboard fail videos online. You're sitting there perfectly safe behind your screen, feeling absolutely no physical pain yourself, but your brain, it instantly puts you in their shoes, anticipating that impact as if it were your own body hitting the pavement.
And because we have this profound imaginative ability, we desperately crave what Smith calls mutual sympathy. Basically, we fundamentally want other people to match our emotional state. Just think about it for a second. Sharing your excitement about a promotion totally makes the joy multiply, right? But if you tell a friend that same news and they just give you a flat, bored, cool, well, that joy shrinks instantly. It stings. On the flip side, sharing deep grief with a close friend actually makes the burden feel lighter. Being the only one laughing in a quiet room or being the only one excited about an idea feels uniquely agonizing simply because we are genuinely terrified of being emotionally out of sync with the group.
So how does this dynamic actually play out in our everyday relationships? Well, if you're the actor experiencing really intense, overwhelming grief, you'll naturally turn down your raw emotion in public so you don't completely overwhelm the friends who are trying to comfort you. Meanwhile, those friends, the spectators, turn up their own empathy to relate to your sorrow. It's exactly like tuning two different instruments to play the exact same note. Smith points out that this constant, really subtle emotional tuning is exactly how society remains peaceful and bonded.
Moving right along to Section 2, meet your inner referee, also known as the Impartial Spectator.
I want you to imagine this fascinating scenario for a moment. If you grew up completely alone on a deserted island, would you have any idea if you were actually a good person? Think about it. Without a single other human being around to react to anything you do, could you objectively judge your own character, your fairness, or even your own flaws?
Well, Smith's answer to that question is a resounding no. We absolutely need the mirror of society to see who we truly are. The moment we enter society, we naturally start observing how others react to us. If people smile and praise us, we know we did well. But if they frown or pull away, we instantly realize, uh-oh, I did something wrong. We rely heavily on this external feedback to figure out if we're acting properly, which ultimately forces us to start looking at our own behavior from an outside perspective.
Now, over time, this external societal mirror becomes internalized into what Smith famously calls your impartial spectator. This is an imaginary, cool-headed, neutral referee living right there inside your mind. It's that quiet inner voice that knows winning a trophy by cheating feels completely empty. Sure, the crowd might be cheering for you, you might even have the gold medal around your neck, but deep down, you know the truth. You want to be truly praiseworthy, not just praised. Your inner referee always knows what's real, and it protects you from your own self-deceit.
Which brings us to Section 3, Justice versus Beneficence and the rules of the game. This highlights one of the most vital distinctions Smith makes about how we treat each other. Think of beneficence as totally optional. It's active kindness and generosity. It's basically like scoring bonus points in a game. Justice, on the other hand, is strictly required. It means not stealing, not harming others, and it acts as the absolute, non-negotiable boundaries of the playing field. Smith elegantly explains that beneficence is kind of like the beautiful ornaments on a building. It makes the building lovely to look at, sure, but it isn't strictly necessary to keep the roof over your head. Justice is the foundational pillar. Without justice, the entire structure of human society instantly collapses into chaos.
Now let's look at Section 4, Gadgets and the Invisible Hand and the Illusion of Wealth.
So Smith observed this quirky, deeply ingrained human trait he called utility. And he noticed that we don't just value things strictly because they're useful to us. No, we are hopelessly obsessed with beautifully designed, complex systems. Come on, you don't buy the newest smartphone just because you urgently need to send text messages, right? Your old, battered phone does that perfectly well. You buy the new one because you're naturally seduced by the aesthetics of a faster, sleeker, more intricate system. We completely fall in love with the gadget itself, rather than just what the gadget does. And here's where it gets really interesting. This obsession with gadgets creates an illusion of wealth that drives people to work incredibly hard. And this illusion acts as what Smith famously coined the invisible hand. A rich person's selfish obsession with acquiring these luxury systems accidentally forces them to hire builders, cooks, and farmers to create and maintain their lifestyle. Their blind pursuit of fancy aesthetics unintentionally distributes wealth and provides necessary livelihoods for the working class. So this is the real origin of Smith's invisible hand. It's our personal, sometimes selfish desires having immense positive and totally unintended consequences for everyone else around us.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, 3 Superpowers for Life, and the Character of Virtue.
Ultimately, Smith boils virtue down to 3 superpowers for living a great, balanced life. First up is prudence. This means studying for your exams, saving your money, and taking smart, deliberate care of your future self. Next is benevolence, which is having genuine, active goodwill to help those around you. But the third, and honestly the absolutely most important superpower, is self-command. Smith compares our raw passions, things like sudden anger and deep fear, to wild, untamed horses. Self-command is the skilled driver holding the reins. It's the steering wheel that keeps you from driving straight off a cliff when life gets chaotic or difficult. When it comes to practicing that second superpower, benevolence, Smith maps it out in expanding concentric circles. We have to start with our innermost circle, our family and closest friends. From there, we move to our middle circle of neighbors and community, and finally out to the broader circle of all humanity. And he specifically warns us against jumping steps here. Don't be one of those armchair philanthropists who claims to deeply love all of humanity on the internet while treating your own family and actual neighbors terribly in real life. True benevolence has to start at home.
To bring this all together, Smith teaches us that we aren't just cold, calculating economic machines. Not at all. We are deeply sensitive, emotional mirrors. By actively putting ourselves in other people's shoes and carefully listening to that internal referee we talked about, we can actually conquer our natural tendency towards self-deceit. We learn to balance our own prudence with true benevolence for others, steered always by the steady hand of self-command. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to ask yourself today. Take a step back and look at your own life through the critical eyes of your impartial spectator. Think about your most recent win or major success. Are you just chasing the blind applause of the crowd, or are you actually living a life that your inner referee knows is truly praiseworthy?
Please like and subscribe.